I didn't realize at the age of 4, 5, 6 that there was actually a flea market here. There was just a creek, and I came out, and my dad took care of business, and I played in the creek all day. In 1985, my father had a heart attack. My brothers and I stepped up and took over the business. He was actually gone. You know, the doctors forced him to stay away from business for 6 months. And you can imagine a guy like my dad, he was a pretty dynamic fellow. It was really hard to get him to stay out. And so that was kind of the beginning of the family, and my brothers and sisters and I getting involved in the business more intimately, because he had to step back. And then when he came back, he saw that it wasn't in as bad a shape as he thought it might have been because of his kids, you know. I wasn't voted to run and operate the flea market. I was just told, we're doing this thing, you're the youngest guy, you're gonna take over this operation and run with it. And so I have since 1995. And I don't know if everybody experiences it, but you know, I got to work for, not only was he my dad, but I got to work for him, with him, and then watch him kind of fade out of the business. And I became, these are the memories, I felt an equal to my father. And so that legacy, that history, I mean, it's part of the family. It's, you know, it's part of your backyard. So it's something, you know, that's as much a part of me as my arm. And so it's not something that I'm going to walk away from. And I would like my kids to do the same thing if they choose to stay in the business. So I would like to continue that evolution of where I was with my dad, because I thought it was, in the end anyways, very healthy.
Well, the flea market certainly is a part of the history of San Jose. It is been around for a long, long time. Whole generations of families have gone to the flea market as part of something to do on a Sunday afternoon. So it is in many ways a part of the community. Well, that's, I think, a good question, is how do you go through and have something that is a very transitory type business. You have a lot of independent families that are running their small businesses out at the flea market today. Of how do you go through that, and how do you do that in a really urban, expensive area like San Jose? We're not like other cities where we have large vacant buildings that you could go through, like old factories that you could move a flea market into easily and inexpensively. Just the demand for land in this valley is so extreme that it forces land prices up, and it makes it really hard for the economics to work. And you know, I think that's really going to be the challenge of what's the fiscal realities of somebody being able to go through and afford to recreate a flea market. And then I think what some of the community said is there a public policy question? Should the city insist that a flea market be recreated somewhere else in the city? And if that's, you know, that is a question that the council can debate, and at the end they could go through and decide that instead of building parks, they should build a flea market.
The reason why we fell into this development thing is my next door neighbor came to me with this thick VTA plan of BART to San Jose, and they, I guess, they have to inform the communities and circulate the environmental documents or whatever they are. And she said, well, look, and she opened it up to about the middle of the book, and there were 3 pages dedicated to the station on the flea market site. So we had no idea. And so you read through this thing, and so, you know, VTA says, well, here's an underutilized piece of property because all the aerial photos were taken Monday through Friday or something like that, and there's 120 acres of nothing. And so let's plop a station there. And so they had moved forward, and I found out about it, and a couple weeks later, I called, my dad was still around, and I called a meeting with the family members, and I said, hey, we're zoned agricultural. They're going to take, at the time they were going to take up to 40 acres. I said, we're not even zoned residential. We have to do something to increase our property value, so you know, we're not going to get chump change when this thing happens. And so the process started from there. We were just trying to increase the property value to the surrounding area. So when all those orchards and things all went away and they were zoned for housing and residential, this little pocket stayed stockyard, or it stayed agricultural. and then we've just kind of fallen into where we are today, and finding out more about the politics behind it and the necessity for the ridership for VTA, and consequently the business starts kind of falling off during that period of time. And it's like, okay, this is all marching in a direction that I had no idea where it was going to go. We will develop it. We'll move south. We'll make a big family destination again, and they can have their ridership for BART, and everybody will be okay.
BART to San Jose project has had a very long lifespan. Originally, in the early 1990s, several different alternatives were looked at to bring the BART extension from Fremont into San Jose. They were primarily along existing railroad corridors. So the choice came down to either bringing it through a rail corridor that in essence would have bypassed the east of San Jose entirely and gone directly to downtown via our industrial lands directly north of downtown. The other alternative was using the railroad corridor that goes through where the flea market lands are now and serves the populations along the east side of San Jose, including the Alum Rock community just to the south, and then goes east into San Jose. So it came down to that the railroad corridors were in predominantly industrial lands, and on balance, the line that serves the east side had the potential to carry more riders for not that much more distance. It was viewed at the time that the flea market, being a predominantly industrial site or used primarily as a flea market on weekends, would eventually transition into developable housing lands. Therefore, it was easier to set stations at areas that would develop along with the construction of the BART extension.
So, picking up some real nice ones there. I live here, Alphen Barriers, probably about a little more than a mile away. So when I moved here in '85, we do a lot of shopping here. And when my kids was younger, we took her here for the carnival ride, and we bought actually some furniture, and always enjoying walking on the produce. So this office, we're very committed to keep promoting flea market, let people know that flea market is still live and well, and will be here for at least 2.5 years. We have identified 2 sites. One is the Singleton landfill of the Capitol, and another one is part of the fairground. And Schenauer and the Baum family have already put in an RFQ to use 80 acres of that fairground.